This video is all about what makes a great software engineer. To be a software engineer, you have to have an insane amount of riz. And is it just me, or does he kind of look like Eminem? If Eminem was a virgin. And you can bet your balls that he's building the Tesla bot to be the father figure in these kids' lives. Probably too far. Hi, my name's River. I'm a senior software engineer at a rapidly growing tech companies, and I make really mid videos all about software. This is something you've probably already noticed, but just haven't said out loud. But you can clearly see by looking at these three people above, is that to be a software engineer, you have to have an insane amount of riz. I mean, just look at Mark Zuckerberg and those flip-flops. You know those are off-brand Walmart flip-flops that he probably got for $4.99. And is it just me, or does he kind of look like Eminem? If Eminem was a virgin. And it doesn't stop there. I mean, look at Jeff Bezos. He literally looks like the god of riz himself, Mr. Clean. And then there's the man, the myth, the legend, Elon Musk himself. The guy's got like 20 to 30 kids. He probably doesn't even know all of their names. And you can bet your balls that he's building the Tesla bot to be the father figure in these kids' lives. Probably too far. But regardless of these guys' personal lives, they've all contributed more than their fair share to tech. And they're all actually really good examples of what it takes to be a great software engineer. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg basically built Facebook with his dogs out. And Elon even says he slept on the floor of a Tesla shop.
I was living in the factory in Fremont and the one in Nevada for 3 years straight. That was my primary residence. I'm not kidding, literally.
I mean, it couldn't have been all that bad. Knowing Elon, he was probably playing Big Spoon to some power tool in the workshop, maybe even Small Spoon. But regardless of the sketchy sleeping arrangement, these three guys all showed crazy amount of grit and perseverance chasing their dreams and their goals in the software industry. But it's not only them. One advantage of working at a rapidly growing tech company is that I'm surrounded by some of the smartest people in the industry. And I started noticing all these great qualities between all these fabulous engineers. And everyone has a different story. I mean, software engineers just aren't spawned like we are in Halo with all these great innate coding qualities. For instance, I didn't start coding until I was 22 years old. I skipped high school every single day my senior year. And the consequence of that was my best option for college was to attend a really small community college in the already small town of West Texas that I grew up in. But it was at that small college I was enrolled in an intro to mechanical engineering class. But it was in that class I was first exposed to Arduinos. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically little robots with sensors and other things that you can add on, and you'll just kind of code up what you'd like it to do. I had an awful time building that stupid robot and an even worse time trying to get it to work right by coding it. But those frustrations sparked something in me and I wanted to get it right. And so I worked at it for hours and hours and hours, day after day after day, all to come up with the worst program you've probably ever seen in your life. But it actually worked. And I would say that's about when the addiction started. I was hooked. I guess that's probably why they say your first time's free. But a really bad hairline and a coding addiction wasn't enough to make me a great software engineer. But these are the things that I noticed in all of my coworkers that are great software engineers and the things that I try to do to get me on that path. And the answer to what is a great software engineer is probably different for everybody, but this is what it is to me. So putting all of the actual coding and syntax and all of those skills and abilities on the side for a minute. But to me, to be a great software engineer, you have to be able to solve problems extremely quickly. You need to be adaptive to be able to work on a team to solve a problem or accomplish a project. You need to be always learning. And lastly, you should be able to figure out a solution to a problem from start to finish before you even start coding. Now that we've laid out what I think is a great software engineer, here are some things that I've done to try to make myself better in these areas. To get better at working as part of a team, I've tried doing more team-related activities.
Never fought once in competition.
Come on, take my hand. We can do this.
Then I kiss your eyes.
And they're up. Come on, Timber!
Not really team-related ideas like that, but a few ideas to maybe try out, or maybe joining like a recreational softball team, or seeing what's going on at like your local YMCA. Just random activities that make you need to communicate with somebody you wouldn't normally talk to, and maybe even have to put up with their crap, but you do all this to be successful, and whatever that is. What's next is getting good at solving problems is one thing, but getting good at solving problems quickly is something entirely different. I mean, think about it in the eyes of somebody who's paying you. So if you're a software engineer, or you're wanting to be, and let's say you want to make $100,000 a year, after you factor in vacation days, PTO, holidays, that kind of thing, that's about $400 a day. So whatever salary you're making, when you leave work each day, you need to think, did I provide X amount of dollars worth of work? So let's say you're making $100 grand. Did I provide $400 worth of work to this project or to this company today? And if not, you need to reevaluate what you're really bringing to the table. And lastly, being able to think problems through from beginning to end without coding really is a developed skill. I think when you're young and dumb and just kind of get in the flow of things, or maybe you're in a rush, you think maybe I'll just code it and whatever happens, happens. And if you encounter a blocker or an issue, you'll solve it at that point. But let's say you've already worked on the problem for about 4 hours before you hit a blocker and you realize you need to refactor all of that previous work. You just wasted 4 hours worth of work. So it's really critical to be able to go to a tech planning and to contribute in solving a problem from beginning to end. You really need to understand your code and what code your problem will be affecting. So if you don't already know that, you really do need to get familiar with your code base enough that you can just think in your head, these are the type of things that I really do need to change to solve this kind of problem. There's a lot of work that needs to be done before you can go to a tech planning to be able to come up with a plan to solve the problem. If not, you really could be doubling down on what the problem is by spending useless, pointless hours coming with a solution that really won't work. I know this is a lot to handle, and honestly, it comes with quite a learning curve. But I like to reflect on an awesome quote made by one of my favorite fitness influencers. And if you're in the fitness space at all, or you like to run or weightlift, or whatever it is, you've probably heard of Nick Bare. He's the owner and CEO of Bare Performance Nutrition, or BPN. He's a runner, lifter, he does it all, ultra marathons. Anyways, he has this awesome running coach, Jeff Cunningham. And Jeff said something so impactful many years ago in some random podcast that it stuck with me every single day.
Listen, one of the most important things I tell people is it's more important to be consistently good than occasionally great, right? And what I mean by that is you don't go out there and go, man, I crushed that workout. Well, yeah, you were laying on the ground for an hour after you were done, and now you can't walk for 2 days later, right? That's occasionally great. Let's just be consistently good.
So if you're wondering what it takes to be a great software engineer, you have to do the daily good things. Participate in those team activities, code reviews, learning to solve problems quickly, even if it's just with Rubik's Cubes or puzzles or maybe even coding. And by consistently doing these things, you'll be a great software engineer. My name is River Atwood. This is the Source Code Project. Please subscribe for more content like this.